Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for the...
Hello there, kitties! Aye, aye, Captain! I can't hear you! Aye, aye, Captain!
My eardrums are blew out.
Oh... Who lives in the darkness? It's out up in space.
Well,
I'm
you can
sorry.
see with Rachel's excitement from the grim dark, we have another talking point of 40k. However, not in the way we were fucking hoping. Yes, Warhammer Adventure, stories from the far future for
For
kids.
kids!
Yeah, okay, let me lay the law down for people.
Oh god.
Grimdark and kitty. These are not two words that go together. Now, I'm not inherently opposed with the concept, but how do I put this nicely? Who the fuck came up with this idea? I'm gonna tell you straight up, their age bracket, they don't need to sell this to kids. This is like,
Oh,
hey kids, you want some fucking plastic crack? Read this book. Oh yeah.
it's like... It's like, it opens the
Okay,
flippin' trench coat, and then there's like stuff from Games Workshop
but
on both sides of the coat.
yeah,
An alleyway.
but no, but ultimately, here's the thing that gets me. There are ways to make this concept work. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm like, who's sniffing the glue when you came up with these characters? Zilia, whatever you want to say, 12
You
year old.
know, you know what? Let's start out with the age bracket. I think it was like 8 to 12 or something that they're trying to target
Yeah,
with this audience. It's like,
no, 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 and no. That's all I'm gonna say in a word. Um, the thing is that one of the main characters, Zilia, a 12-year-old daughter of a galactic explorer, Dora the Explorer in space, grew up helping her with archaeological expeditions on dozens of worlds, digging up ancient artifacts and alien technology. Bright, resourceful, always thinking she knows best, but isn't experienced as she tries to make out. Well, here's something that I'm going to tell you. Um, Warhammer, the Imperium of Man, is very, very xenophobic. You don't touch alien technology. This is the bigger check marks in my eyes. Like, this is someone who really doesn't know it. Like, that alone already puts her for the Inquisition to blow her brains out and
that's the
extinguish.
funny thing. That's the funny thing about all of this that we're finding is like every single one of these characters, like their whole concept is like, oh, we're gonna make these characters that are going against the system, but you don't do that in Warhammer 40k. And the reason you don't is because that gives them carte blanche to just blow your brains out.
Well, here's the thing, Zelia, whatever you want to say it. This is the one. This is where I start saying this is politics being shoved in, and not good story writing. Sharing her mother's hatred of weaponry. Zelia believes the best way to overcome fear is to learn about the universe. That doesn't stop her from being terrified of spiders after being trapped in a web of gigantic temple weavers, which she was when she was a small child. I'm sorry, Grimdark, the Imperium of Man. Humanity can be easily extinguished. You have raping elves. You have gigantic cockroaches that will fucking eat you and spit you out as protein to make more of themselves. You have Necrons, which will destroy you with weapons that will flay you at the atomic level.
Oh boy, Mike, Dark Eldar.
No, 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 no. I'm sorry. The whole concept of her mother's hatred of weapons, she shares it like your mother will not be alive. Like,
Your mother's retarded. Like, this world does not fuck around. It does not give a shit as to whether or not you like weapons. Things will eat and devour you. They will destroy you. You can be killed you can be killed very easily in thousands of different ways. To be like, oh, I don't believe in weapons. Like, you're gonna die.
yeah,
Like,
that's the thing that gets me the
please.
most. Like, this is where, like, this is, to me, this is the worst character of the bunch because everything makes no sense for the character in even a kiddies version of this world. I don't like guns. Well, I'm sorry. The first raider that you're going to deal with on an alien artifact run or ancient artifacts, you're going to be dead. Period. No questions about that. Alien technology. Here's the thing. You know what other aliens are out there? You got Eldar. You got orcs. You got you got the Dark Eldar.
But you get the Tau.
You got the Tau, and even the Tau, they wouldn't want. Well, Tau are young, so you're not gonna really find that. But you might find a wreckage. Like they're not gonna be too nice and happy that you're touching their fucking shit. Right then, there, you got a whole laundry list of the only one that might be nice is Tau to you, and even then, that's just they'll be nice. They might not kill you, but they'll be like fuck off. Everything else will fucking kill you. And that's the other thing, is that ancient artifacts, this is like, if you're looking for STC, standard template construction units, which is in 40k lore, the Mechanicus will take it from you, and they're not going to be very nice about it. Right then there, her character cannot function in that world. It's very much a person, I don't believe, who's read it, and I'm sorry, if you're terrified of spiders, and I understand this is a kiddie phobia...
Why wouldn't you have a weapon, though? If you're afraid of spiders, like, why wouldn't you have something like a flamethrower with you always?
Well, that's the thing, is, like, that would be the perfect way to have a character go, like, oh, I'm having a weapon. You can have something that's over-exaggerated, like, she'll have an endless supply of Raid in can form around her. Like, you can still do that, but, like, this is the worst created one, and I'm sorry, she's 12, and how is she actually being a competent leader when, I'm sorry, you can't even defend yourself? No. Out. Let's move to one that's actually more tolerable, but I still...
Well, you know what, we'll move on to the next one, but I do want to cut in for a second. I want to ask, like, who the fuck are these novels for? Like, they say it's for the kids, but usually when you see, like, children's stuff associated with tabletop or something like that, with that kind of lore, it's usually, parents trying to get their kids involved, that sort of thing. But anybody who knows Warhammer 40k lore doesn't want their kids anywhere near it. Like, not for many, many years, and maybe not even then, because of all of the X-rated, NC-17, R-rated shit. Like, this is, like, the last kind of lore that you want your kids to be involved in. And then when they get older, they're like, oh, I remember those books that I read when I was younger. And then they Google search it.
Note to self, you can see that what I showed Rachel of 40k and how she's freaking out.
No, I'm just saying, like, this is the last thing you want kids to be involved in. And then you, like, neuter it to be like, oh, well, we're doing a story for kids, about this lore where... like, a lot of things can, like, rape you to death and or steal your soul or all kinds of awful shit, but, we're just going to we're going to sanitize things by, like, getting rid of all the weapons so the kids are opposed to weapons and things. Like what?
Well,
how does that even work?
It doesn't work. Well, here's the character that, as Rachel put it, was a little bratty edgelord. Talon. Oh, God, Talon, the son of a loyal Imperial Guard officer. Nice introduction start, I can give it. 13-year-old Talon ran away from home to avoid enlisting into the military. First thing first, you don't usually have a choice of being enlisted. And second thing is, I think your father would most likely blow your brains out. If not, you've just signed the death warrant of your entire family, you little brat. And
the ecclesiarchy does not give a shit. The ecclesiarchy is very clear on what rules you're supposed to go by, and one of those is like, if they want you to enlist in the military, you're enlisting in the military, and if you go somewhere, they can just
you're
kill
going
you.
somewhere. It doesn't matter. And this is the line where I thought, like, if this was written for adults, or is this a main character, would be a good idea. He fell in with some Runuk warriors, a feral gang who lives under the largest hive city. That actually sounds really cool. Because guess what? You actually have a character that is essentially rejecting the Imperium, but now he slid into a gang. That's kind of a worse situation than going off to war in a degree. And then it goes, used to thinking with his fist. He is difficult to trust anyone, but has a good heart. I'm sorry. Have any of you understood what hive cities are and what gangs are in a hive city? Uh, Necromundon, I think you guys need to look up and play because you do realize these 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 large cities, these hive cities, they house millions upon millions. They can hold the world's population in the size of, I don't know, Atlanta, Georgia, or New York City. You're looking
Jesus.
at something like that, and you got people on top of other people. You do realize the elite in these hive cities will go into the underhive and hunt people for fucking sport. Please
Yeah.
explain to me how you would have a good heart.
Yeah.
Honestly,
What?
you're 13 and you're running away. Where the fuck do you if you're not passed around like a fucking joint between these gang members? I'm sorry. No, this doesn't make sense.
You know what? Here's the funny thing about all of this is that a kid like that, would be easily led into all kinds of awful things. And like I know you were mentioning that, but I'm saying like they'd be prime for like
Chaos.
human trafficking in the sense of like they're gonna sell his kidneys. And he didn't really have a choice. It's like, oh hey, you look hungry there. It's like that's the reality of this world. Like you go to the dark underbelly of it, they don't give a shit about kids, about women, about anything. Like everybody is expendable. Like everything. Like it's every person for themselves, especially in like a hive. Oh my god, and he doesn't have like any weapons or anything. Speaks with his fists. Fuck off with that
Yes, a
shit.
13-year-old speaking with his fist. Do you realize, like, if you actually look at his character, he's a scrawny little fucker, and he has a chain on his hip, an actual chain. Like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, the first gang member is gonna crush your skull, and he won't even think anything about this. And the line that really got me most was, he has little experience of the galaxy. First and first, then how the hell did he get to the Underhive or into the hive with these warriors? Because I'm going to tell you something. That's not an easy thing to do. He hides his insecurities behind bluster and bravado. His only link to his past is a toy soldier his older brother gave him before going off to war, which he guards with his life. Okay, gang members, you're not having that anymore. I'm sorry. Like, this is definitely this is someone's fantasy world. And that's a good concept that he's holding on to his brother, but I'm sorry. Why did he run away? You're giving a good concept, but you're having in such a childish is this your first time writing
Oh,
levels stuff?
I just thought about something. Like they would probably also. Here's another option. They might try to just what do you call it? Ransom him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Even if they're gonna like kill him afterwards, they would want him just to kill him. He knows too
Mm-hmm.
much. His dad was like what in the military or something.
Mm-hmm.
He knows too much. They try to ransom his ass off if they didn't steal his kidneys or do any other awful things. Like, seriously, he could become a slave. There's any number of things that could happen to a 13-year-old in a hive. Jesus. That's why we don't really put them, like kids or people that young, as NPCs in Warhammer 40k.
I do, but I'm an asshole. Yeah. Rachel's laughing.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people will stray away from that because it's like,
Well, they don't
because
know how to handle it.
that's typically their line, and
Well, I had one of them feed you false information and try to steal from you, and
oh wait, I forgot about that.
yeah,
Shit.
and I had one of you. The only one nice one was afraid of one of our former players was going to blow his brains out for not giving him the direct information. Okay, sir, I'm giving you the right information. Like, yeah, we know how to deal with this. Like, you got to run with the punches. Now, the last character. Oh, Miki. Oh, Miki.
Or Meki.
Meki, what
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blew my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey.
Yes, this is the trying to hint at the Mechanicus. Now, I will admit, I think this guy has would have, again, another character that has a very great potential if, for a couple things. He's happiest when tinkering with technology. Okay, that's a little fuzzy, like, okay, no, 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 but I can take that. He's able to communicate with the machine spirit, which is normal with a Mechanicus character. A talented inventor. Warning signs are now, red flags from 40k are now being thrown up. An 11-year-old helped create a specific robotic frame that supports his paralyzed arm, as well as servo sprites, a swarm of tiny robot helpers. Okay, first things first, he has a paralyzed arm. He's working with the Mechanicus. He's in the Mechanicus. He's a little robot guy. His arm would have been removed and a new robotic arm would have been attached. First thing first. And you know what? That would be perfect to do for this character. Why? You want your cripple SJW check bag? Perfect, because you know what? That's actually a wonderful thing to work with. That actually can work. The next stage.
He does have a one robot arm already, but
nope, there's no robot arm. That's actually just an exoskeleton over it.
Wait, that's an exoskeleton?
Yep. They don't even give him the robot arm.
So they don't even just, wire it in so it works like Automail would be in like Full Metal Alchemist or anything?
Nope.
It's just got like...
They puss out even on that. As I said, the start with him, the start with him that makes me go, this is definitely another person that the Mechanicus would fucking execute, is something very important. A tiny robot swarm of helpers. You want to know why that's a huge no-no? 40k, you do not create artificial intelligence. You do not play with robots. You play with robots, you were executed because there was a war of the Iron Men, which was essentially a robot uprising that pretty much almost exterminated humanity in its past. That's why the Mechanicus does not fuck around with AI, because guess what? That is a fear that they're running with. That's why servitors, these human cyborg things where we need something to do a repetitive task. Here's a criminal, let's plop him down, jam robotic pieces into his brain, lobotomize him, so he'll do this over and over again until his body wears out. That's literally what robot processes are done. They will still have a human body connected to it because they're that terrified of AIs running amok again. This kid would have been executed just for that alone. And it's like, oh my god, you had such potential for him, and then you went fucking far left. Like, there's ways to have it kiddie and respect the lore. By the simple fact of doing that, that character is already no, there's no way this actually is working. This is why if you make it a quote-unquote separate universe, I can take a deep breath and go, okay, you're fine. But the reason why I'm getting so edgy on this and being down your throat is every one of these things are very much not created to actually tell a good story, even for kids.
Now, there's just so much wrong with this. It's like, hey kids, you want to purge some heretics? Wow, yeah! I can't hear you! Yeah, woo! Here, take some Miltas! Oh, hey kitty, here, take a bolter! Woo! I'm sorry, it's doing too funny.
Well, that's the thing is, Rachel's making a good joke of it, and I admit, this is how you should handle it, but the reason why I'm so, aneurysm levels, yes, it's actually more of a bit of a show, but to be honest, let's actually take it apart. Every one of these characters needs a rewrite, even if it's not set in 40k. You want to know why? Each one of these has a fatal, I would argue, a fatal flaw. Zelia, essentially, this is a person who is a pacifist fighter, but plays around with technology, so that it's usually suggesting she's super smart. Guess what? What person would that better be fitting for? That would be better fitting for Meki. Why? Because he's playing with robots, he's playing with technology, and making him a pacifist would be something, okay, you're kind of pushing the envelope, but that makes sense. Now, having her, Zelia, work with any of the other characters, she doesn't fit. Why? Because guess what? She seems like she's the most Mary Sue of all the characters. That she just has a fear of spiders, essentially. Literally.
That's her only flaw. She's afraid of spiders.
Exactly. Now,
but Mike, don't you understand? She's a strong person of color.
Bite my ass.
That's.
Bite my ass. Bite my ass.
They had to have Mike. They had to put in. Wait, they had to have the diversity hire. That's what they needed. Because reasons. And it's like, it doesn't even matter in Warhammer 40k. The thing that pisses me off more is that she's all like anti-weapons and shit like that. It just doesn't make any sense because it's a world that can just easily kill someone that age. No problem. One hit kill.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have anything to defend yourself. And you're just like fucking around in the galaxy and I don't know, here's the thing, I don't know if they're all part of a single novel or if it's a set of novels or what they're doing. They've just got all of these characters up on the website and they even have Smurfs up there. They've got like
the Ultramarines. That is the.
They got the Ultramarines. It's like, but they're totally gonna glaze over like all of the stuff that it takes to make a Space Marine, or the stuff that the Necrons do. And of course, it's gotta be like,
the Space Marine stuff is bar normal for my. I'm not gonna even acknowledge it for Ultramarine Smurfs, but it's the Necrons is the first hinting at the enemy. The Necron weaponry that's the thing that made me freeze in place going, how do you kidify the Terminator, an R-rated movie, that his weapon will flay you alive at the atomic level? Please explain me, how do you do that?
Explain that to you, yeah.
Yes, like, that's the one that makes me freeze the most going, like, did you even think this through?
Well, the funny thing is, I think they chose Necrons because they needed, like, of the villains, of the baddies in the universe, they are probably tame by comparison to all of the other things that...
Okay, just so you know, Rachel is not the most versed in 40k. Rachel, they have flayed ones which they wear the skins of their dead on their body to infiltrate people.
Oh!
I like how Rachel's just like, I
was wrong. I was wrong on that one. Okay, wait, what would be the most tame to put in there, though? Of everything? Like, if we had to do a vote on what's the most tame of all the things, what would you put in there?
Who would be the most tame enemy of all?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to ask this question? Because I don't think it's 40 fucking K.
I know, like, because you've got the Dark Eldar. Didn't you say, like, they were into necrophilia and shit?
They'll rape you. They'll rape you to death. They'll mutilate you and they'll engineer your body as some weird construct of death and destruction. You have the Eldar, a dying race that honestly sees humanity as fleas and something that is lapping at something that they shouldn't. You got the Tau that they did retcon them, and I'm happy they did. I'm that few person that's actually happy that before they made them the shining good guys, and then they had hints that, oh yeah, when they conquer a territory, especially a human territory, they usually slowly and subtly sterilize the whole fucking human race to literally let them die out so they can take over the planet peacefully. I'm sorry!
Jesus.
Yes, exactly. And then you have Chaos. Oh, Chaos. You got a hint of what I do with Chaos.
Oh, I know, Mike. Were you talking about the Chaos Gods? Oh boy. You know, that's the most kid-friendly stuff there is in Warhammer 40k. Because blood for the Blood God. Skulls for the Skull Room. It's like, no slash new! Or you've got...
Like you see how Rachel's laughing so hard because it's like, how do you create something neutral in this? Who thought
this was a good idea? Who thought this was good?
Here's something else. Like, the only race that maybe could be done are the orcs. The orcs seem to be in my eyes, the only ones that you could, in theory, make the most palatable. And that's a very hard thing to do because as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at, like, the orcs, if you work with their equivalent of goblins, which is their Gretchen, they're kind of beat on, made fun of, beat up by the bigger orcs, those are kind of the only ones that you could, in theory, have them, that they're not, like, made, like as scary. You can kind of more have a humorous aspect to it. But after that, like, you're looking at so much shit that you're like, oh god, I don't know what to do. Because the only other thing would be a rebellious world that is rebelling against the Imperium. And or you just kind of have it like in the background of 40k, and you kind of you carve out your own little like small little solar system that's like, I'm not 40k, but I'm 40k, assholes.
Oh god. So basically, what this looks like with Warhammer 40k Adventures, stories from the far, far future, you got Mr. Army Brat over here with a literal metal pipe. You got you got Miss Mary Sue over here with her, what was it, like a spyglass over there? Like a literal spyglass. I mean, it's not like you guys have, like, high technology or anything that would go beyond a fucking spyglass, but let's just throw that in there for good measure. And then we've got, like...
You got Mr. Cripple.
Yeah, then you got Mr... And you get Crippy Boy over here.
And
who's got his mechanical arm and everything and the cue ball head, because of course, you know, he's got to be unsettling in that respect. We can't make him at all normal. Anyway.
Now, here's the thing. I am not going to bring up Warhammer Fantasy, because they made it Age of Sigmar, and they can go fucking slick my asshole for that one. Yeah, I'm a little bitter, guys. You can tell. They nuked the lore. They killed off everything.
Mike, they're gonna get mad at us if we if we talk about things like that. If we talk about their wholeheartedly progressive characters who are teaching children the values of, like, exploration, fighting, like, telling your parents to go fuck off and joining a gang, and or defying the laws to make all kinds of technological advances that can get you killed.
Oh, don't.
There's just so many, you know, great messages for kids to take away from a universe that is basically just everything turned to 11, created for adults by adults. Like, just so they could, where everybody is pretty much fucked up. There is, like, there's no, the only morality situation you're dealing with is just pick a side and go all in. So that whole waffling thing that the kids are trying to do here, like, the only thing that would make the most sense for these adventures to end in is, like, with all of these guys being sent to, like, a black...
Well, here's something that's, at least for interesting for the Age of Sigmar one. There's a character, Kiri, bearing the mark of Chaman, the realm of metal. A 15-year-old Kiri is strong and steadfast as steel, raised in the barbarian slave camps. Learns to fight as soon as she can walk, honing her skills with a catapult. She has a slingshot, guys. She's a fucking slingshot. The thing is, when you look at Warhammer Fantasy, and I don't give a damn about Age of Sigmar, it's essentially pissed me off to the point of you get the finger. I'm sorry, you're in a slave camp, and your weapon's a slingshot.
And you only came away with, like, you know, 2 little scars. Like, that's...
Well, here's the thing. Shimmy, or whatever, Shimmeron, the Lord of Metal, the Yellow Winds of Magic, you're an alchemist. Transmutation. And your weapon is a fucking slingshot. You're a gold wizard, Harry. You're a gold wizard, specifically in 40k Warhammer. You're a gold wizard, lady. Why did you take that away? Why? Again, this is even me just taking a quick glance at their own lore and going,
oh god,
no,
I'm looking at Alish.
No.
I'm looking at this girl over here, Alish, and that's, like, even worse, because she's carrying a hammer that would be way too fucking heavy for her. And she does not have the muscle mass to make that work. Like, that is just ridiculous.
But Rachel, she's an inventor of clocks and machines, and but her true passion is for inventing. In her workshop, she's designed and built countless contraptions from clocks and counting machines to full-sized airships.
How the fuck does that work in this universe?
It can, but here's the thing.
It can, but it's like...
But that's the thing is, she's 12 years old and made a full-size airship. Ladies and gentlemen, these characters will even piss off kids.
It's like that.
Also, she won't, here's the other thing. She won't make weapons. She prefers a creative solution to any conflict.
Why are all the girls, like, opposed to fucking weapons? Like, I thought we were talking about, you know, making strong female characters, being all progressive and shit. Like, what happened to, like, a woman being able to, like, you know, express herself in that way? You know, just... Well, I think the only girl that's totally probably down with weapons is Kiri, and she's got a fucking slingshot. Or is that a chick?
I
Oh
think
yeah,
that I'm treating it as a chick.
it's a girl. Yeah, it's a girl. Sorry, it was hard for me to tell. They all have that really kind of grumpy expression, like, "Urgh, I'm an edgelord." I'm 12. I'm fucking 12, and I'm an edgelord. Ooh, it's like they've given this whole thing like the Star Wars sequels treatment, like the fucking. Oh, I'm 12, and I built a fucking airship by myself. It's like, oh, I'm a badass with a slingshot.
Yes, you start you hear how Rachel, and she's not even she doesn't really know that much about the fantasy stuff, and just like this is a person with zero knowledge about the fantasy and just laughing at, like, even for a kid, like, they know this stuff is retarded.
And then there's Elio, bearing the mark of what Chiran, the realm of life. 14-year-old Elio is a born healer. Oh boy, his knowledge of potions and cures is second to none, and he's often to be found with his nose in a giant book of herb lore. But he's not just interested in plants. Oh
You know
no.
which plants he's really interested in. Go on.
Buffalo soldier in the heart of America, stolen from Africa. Sorry. Okay, anyway, sorry. Elio has a keen fascination with elements living, from the tiniest biting insect to the mightiest man-eating manticore. He may not be much of a fighter, but Elio is clever, thoughtful, and considerate. He doesn't look all like considerate. He looks really fucking grumpy. Like, he's got the same look on his face, like, I'm gonna heal the shit out of you. I'm a healer.
Yes, Rachel is laughing so hard for a very good reason. Why? Because when you start...
Is he wearing fucking eyeliner? Like that? I can't tell.
I hope not.
I can't tell.
I seriously hope not. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 40k Warhammer Adventures. You take a step back and you start looking at it, and your brain starts going, what the hell am I looking at?
What exactly is the story here? Like, these little guys, you know, they're just gonna go and fuck everything up, you know, like, yeah, we're gonna fuck everything up. I got my hammer here. I'm totally opposed to weapons and shit, but I got my big-ass hammer here that I'm too young to be able to swing effectively, not to mention the fact that she's a chick. Oh, okay, I'm saying, okay, there are strong women and everything like that, but there are strong women that would struggle to pick up what she's holding right now. Grown-ass women. And she's got, like, no muscle mass, okay? Like, you take a female bodybuilder and everything like that, and she might be able to swing it. Might. But this little, like, 12-year-old, oh boy, big old fucking hammer. Big old sledgehammer.
I want people in the comments, and I want you, Rachel, to throw up some images of showing what these characters look like, what are traditional Warhammer.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ. I almost feel like I do need to, like, pop these up here, because it's like, they just look so fucking edgy. Like, this is, like, what, for 7-year-olds? 7 to 12 or something like that?
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, I know, and honestly, here's the funny part. This is one of the reasons why I do not like people who write children's books, especially like this. No offense to Harry Potter fans. I've always considered Harry Potter a more written book. However, if you've also noticed Harry Potter, it does tackle themes effectively and ineffectively. I think more ineffectively, in my personal opinion. But
the problem with children's books, and I'm sorry to cut you off there. The problem with children's books is that it leaves a lot of room for the writer to be fucking lazy. Mm-hmm. Let's just say it right there.
And here's the thing, kids are mature enough, they can handle a lot, they will bounce back from a lot. And yeah, my first 40k book was 12, 13 years old. Essentially the tail end of what they're saying. And I read adult books at 10. Actual adult books with adult themes. Maybe I'm that rare freak that can handle it, I don't think so. But let's be honest. Those stories, they're still with me. They're still in the back of my head, and they've actually made me try to be better with what I'm doing, writing, doing games, talking about things, because guess what? when you grab these books and you're reading what the adults are reading, you start realizing, wow, these are great stories. And I've had watered down stories that have left, I was always craving for something better. You don't give your kids crap. Give them the good shit. If you want to, be honest, if you want to give a kid actual books to read from the 40k or Warhammer, I would suggest, me personally, for Gore-Tex and Felix for the fantasy. That is my primary direction for it. I would have to double check on the 40k stuff. I started off with Gaunt's Ghosts, Dan Abnett's books. I think that would be a nice area to start it. It can be a little intense for them at even a 12, 13-year-old range, but again, treat them like adults. Treat them like that. There's a lot of books
anything's better than this edgelord over there with the literal fucking chain hanging off his belt.
Well, here's the other thing. I was gonna say, if you're gonna go the science fiction for Warhammer, I would say probably pick up one of the earlier books of the Horus Heresy. Not that it's not graphic and detailed and intense, but it's kind of an easier one not to, or at least from what I remember. It's little things like that.
Also, the other little things that are bothering me about this is, okay, these people were stupid enough to not have a lot of this art created at a high enough resolution, so when they actually are zooming in, I can see all of the bad smoothing, where it was lazy on the art. And that's just, that's just the artist in me noticing all of this shit, and it's getting on my nerves. Like, it's right there on the front page, like, I don't know. It's just laziness.
Yeah, it's Caltech art style. Like, what was it? Thundercats?
No, it's Caltech. Okay, I will say this is better than Caltech. So Cal Arts, sorry, not Caltech. Cal Arts. I'll say this is much better than Cal Arts style of art
but
here.
Yeah,
but it's still lazy.
Well, that's the thing, is that I do remember the kid books that everyone in my family, and I bless their heart for trying to get me into. I'm happy that they went, okay, just throw them an adult book and see what happens, because I'm a stubborn little cuss, and I'm sorry to my family for that. But like, this is essentially why you do not play the child angle. You don't make a kiddie version. Just literally go, hey, this is an adult book. I think you're ready for it, and your kids will thank you. And since you're the adult, I'm sorry, you can choose which 40k book you can give your kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the problem these days with a lot of the adults and the parenting and shit like that, is that they get surprised when their kids stumble upon stuff that is not age appropriate, and it's because they're not taking the time to actually look over the material and things like that. And they're like, oh my god, what happened? The thing is, like, you as a parent have the ability to prepare your kids for books, well, maybe not books like this, but, adult themes. You have the ability, and it's your job as a parent to go over this stuff, so, yeah.
But yeah, we'll leave you on that note. We've probably been ranting way too much at the screen.
Oh god, yeah, we did. We went overkill. This is bad.
But yes, thank you guys for joining us. Tell us what you think. Thank you.
Like, subscribe, all the things.
Yes, and
Please.
thank you. Good night.